we get into this review, I just want to bring up a couple of things. Firstly, my window is open, so apologies if you can hear any background noise or anything from outside. It is very, very hot in here. As you can see, I don't look very pleasant. And this does bring me on to the next point I want to bring up. Uploads are going to be a bit all over the place for the next couple of months. We are getting another heat wave, and we're about to get it in the next couple of days. It's going to be about 30 to 32 degrees again. So yeah, uploads are just going to be a little bit all over the place until like mid-September. I do know that Evil Dead Burn is due to come out, I think tomorrow or the next day. But again, it's just going to not be very safe for me to go out. So yeah, I just thought I'd give you a heads up on how the upload schedule is going to go for the summer. But I did finally go and see Supergirl. Millie Alcock plays Kara, aka Supergirl, as she is put on a mission to rescue her dog Krypto after he is poisoned from an evil alien character. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to describe this. I was looking forward to this one, especially after how much I loved Superman, the recent Superman by JamesGunn. I really, really enjoyed that. I came out of that one really feeling like, yeah, okay, I guess I'm a Superman fan. I don't really know anything about Supergirl though, so this does act as kind of an origin story, a bit of a background one. We have had a Supergirl TV show, obviously, and then in the 70s we had the film. But that's kind of been it. So this was kind of a cool next project to do. And yeah, it was fine. it was okay. I think it was a lot of fun, but it's one of those by the numbers kind of films. I did really like Millie as Supergirl. She's a party girl, she goes on pub crawls, she's constantly drunk, but she does that to essentially escape and wash away her anger and sadness and forget her past. So within all of the fun girl personality that she has, there is a slightly darker undertone to it. She desperately wants to forget her past and forget what happened to her planet. And we already know from Superman what happened, obviously, but I think coming from a different perspective and a character who was very much a teenager when this all happened, because remember, Superman was a baby when he left Krypton. It puts a very different perspective on her story and the story of Krypton overall. And actually, that is where some of the emotion does come from. But then she gets roped into this mission by a girl called Ruthie, played by Eve Ridley, and the villain that she wants to go after then poisons Krypto, the superdog. And so here we have a rescue mission / revenge mission. And I think Eve Ridley was okay for the role that was asked of her. But she is a very, and I'll get into this point a bit later on as well, she is a very much what you expect from a kid who is out for revenge, but is very unskilled for the type of mission that she wants to go for. She's always running into trouble. There's a lot of scenes where Supergirl is telling her to stay where she is, and then she immediately just runs off. There's a lot of those moments that I feel like a couple of scenes could have been cut from this film. It definitely felt a little bit too long. And a couple of the scenes did feel a bit unnecessary as well. But I think Eve Ridley actually did a good enough job, again, for the role. I could also talk about Krem, played by Matthias Schoenaerts. But he's kind of a nothing villain. Again, he's okay in the role that was picked for him for this film. But Krem is kind of a nothing villain. He wants to be a big bad person and capture all the women to become brides for his tribe, and he killed Ruthie's family and poisoned Supergirl's dog. That's kind of it, really. So there isn't much to him either. So again, just like with Eve Ridley, they both do, well enough, they both act well enough for the roles that they are given, but they are kind of either by the numbers roles or nothing roles, essentially. And this is kind of what I think is the overall problem. It depends how you view things and your perspective on this, but I think it's a problem because while I did enjoy the film, it is a very paint by numbers plot. It's a rescue mission, you know where it's going to go, you know how they're going to end up, there's going to be a downtime where Supergirl's going to reveal her past and why she's doing all this. You know, Ruthie is going to be the troublemaker kid who wants to go off on her own and do the revenge on her own, and then she's just going to wander off every single time. Like, you know how this goes by now, and while I did have fun with it, it was a bit like I could pinpoint every plot detail that was going to happen. It was very predictable, but at the same time, a fun watch. It's not a bad film, it's just very paint by numbers. And like I said, there's a couple of scenes that I feel just didn't need to be here. The biggest one I feel, which I also feel was actually one of the best parts of the film, was the introduction of Lobo, who's played by Jason Momoa. I think he's great. He's clearly having fun with the role as this complete psychopath. But the problem is that you don't really need him in the film. I feel like it's just an excuse for them to do a Lobo solo film later on, which I do want. After seeing Jason's performance, I really, really want that. But he didn't actually need to be here. He doesn't really serve a purpose. He's just here to eat up the screen and do it very, very well. And I think lastly, the pacing is a bit of a problem in the first half. I think the last half of the film, the pacing gets a lot more comfortable, the fight sequences get better, but the pacing in the first half of the film is definitely a bit all over the place. It feels like the film's trying to make an emotional connection, but nothing's really staying long enough to stick, especially emotionally, and for it to have meaning. I definitely feel like it gets better as the film goes on, and I think the last half is actually better than the first half. The film definitely finds its footing in the pacing, in the fight sequences, in the second half of the film. Saying that though, I did like the fight sequences. There's a whole sequence to do with Kara and Ruthie on the bus, which I really, really liked. And there's a big ending battle scene, fight scene, that I really, really enjoyed. And again, I think Millie and Eve actually work really well together, and Jason Momoa was fantastic as Lobo. But yeah, if you want a paint by numbers but fun film to just kind of switch your brain off for, then I would recommend this. But I think I couldn't help while watching it compare it to Superman, which has a lot of political messages to it, a lot of commentary on social media, on politics, on, you know, world issues, non-political wise. And I realised as I was watching this, I can't do that because Supergirl has a very different story, obviously has a very different timeline of events with her life, so I actually can't compare the two films because they are very different characters, they're very different storylines, so I can't actually do that. So I would say if you want to watch this, I recommend it, but don't expect anything that Superman kind of touched on or did, essentially. It's still a fun time, but it is a very much switch your brain off kind of film. The next review I am going to be doing is a spoiler video on Disney's Hoppers, because I do want to watch that one and review it. But after that, I think uploads are going to be a bit all over the place this summer. I am absolutely sweltering. I am so sweating. I've tried to hide it as much as possible as well in the video, and it's probably not going to work. But yeah, it's very, very hot here, and it's going to continue to do so, probably up until September. So yeah, I do apologise in advance, and I'll put a community post out about this as well at the same time that this goes up. The upload schedule is going to be all over the place until September because of the heat waves that the UK keeps having. But I was Megan, this is Battle Royale with Cheese, see you soon.